Oh, well, we'll start with Runaways because I actually haven't seen it. I don't actually know much about it really, like other than the fact that it is a X-Men related franchise. Correct?
Not really. No.
No,
So
it's
that's
not?
the thing.
Oh.
I think the show is like, and the comic book, I think a lot of people like don't know really what it is, and I think because the reviews on IMDb are actually pretty startling. They're like a 7.2 on IMDb, and that's like relatively low. That's like somewhat bad according to IMDb standards. But I really like it, and I think a lot of people are expecting a certain thing from this show, but it really isn't. So Runaways, it's the comic books and the TV show. It's basically a bunch of teenage kids. They find out that their parents are, I guess, evil, and they run away. Hence the name Runaways. But there's so much more in depth about it. Like why they're evil, why they're doing these things. Certain like you slowly discover certain things about like certain people do have powers. So I guess it does have that kind of X-Men vibe because they're the young teenagers and there are powers involved. But it's a lot more different from there. The comic book and and apparently the supervisor is Brian K. Vaughan. So he did Runaways. He's done Saga, which was like the biggest freaking thing like a year ago. And he did Why the Last Man. So he's like to me, he's like the best person who's doing, I guess, comic books and kind of novels, aside from Neil Gaiman. It's Neil Gaiman and then it's Brian K. Vaughan for me. So Runaways, essentially the TV show, they changed a few things. Like, for example, one of the characters is adopted, which, wasn't in there in the comic book. And there's a few changes here and there, but I think it's more for the relationship. Like, overall, the tone is still the same. The character chemistry, that's what really matters the most because, each of these characters are, I guess, a silhouette of each other. Like, you got the kind of jock guy, but he's a nerd and he's trying to live up to his father. You've got the kind of like lonely, nerdy guy. You've got the it's very funny, the gothic Asian girl. See
Okay.
many of them. You see like kind of the semi-popular blonde girl, and there's a family where it's like all natural vegan, and she's also accompanied with the SJW of the group. And I don't say that as a joke. She's actually written that way in a comic book, and I think since we live in this modern time with SJWs, she's just in full force, and I think that can turn off some people. I think on the Facebook page, everyone was actually kind of angry, like, I had to turn it off after 5 minutes, because, like, she's there, and introductions, like, down with the patriarchy and stuff like that. It's like, oh no, so much cringe.
Well, I guess like if she portrays that character correctly, then she's doing a good job at acting, right? Like, it kind of reminds me of Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Like, people hated Joffrey, right? And subsequently, like, by extension, the actor, because of the character he played. But that just goes to show that the acting was done well, right? As opposed to the character being a bad character. So
yeah,
it's a good way to.
Yeah, she encapsulates that pretty well. But yeah, overall, they just released 3 episodes in bulk, and then it'll go weekly from then on. And so far, I really enjoy it. It's one of those things, like, I enjoy it a lot more, and I think a lot of people who've read it, I think, enjoy it a lot more because, they already know where it's kind of going, and they kind of like seeing all the relationships, already blossom. But, I think it's one of these things where it's like, you just stick with it, and, I think in the end, it's gonna be something that's gonna be, everyone's gonna be waiting for season 2, because, the teenagers have really good chemistry with each other, and obviously throughout the season they're going to be working together more as a team, and I really enjoy it. The TV show actually focuses more about the parents. So the comic books, that you kind of find out they're kind of evil and sinister, but you don't really get that much, I guess, empathy and look into their lives. But the TV show touches on that a little bit, which is good to just expand it a little bit. And yeah, like once again, I'll talk with you with spoilers like next week or something like that about the Runaways. But once again, it's a fulfilling show, and I'm already kind of attached to the characters. They're likable. They're very yeah. I just can't wait to. It's kind of like the Stranger Things effect, I guess, where it's like just a bunch of teenagers and they just kind of work well together and play by play. So I can't wait to see the rest of this season. So that's that, and I hope more people watch it because there's not many people watching it because I think it's like a Hulu exclusive. So
oh, okay, yeah, sure.
It's one of those weird ones.
I realized which show I was talking about, and it's called The Gifted. I think that show is the one I confused this show with.
Yeah, and the Gifted I like is pretty well. It's pretty good as well.
Yeah, and that is centered around a bunch of mutants.
Yes, like young adults, teenage mutants. Once again, that's going a good turn as well. That's once again these they're doing really well. Like all these things. Like I feel like some of the most enjoyment that I'm getting out of these Marvel TV shows are mostly coming from other places. Like Legion is really good. Gifted is really good. I like the Runaways really well. But I found a lot of faults in something like the Defenders. I haven't watched any of the Punisher yet. That's one of my things on the list. But I feel like the Marvel Cinematic Universe TV shows are just kind of, I think they feel kind of samey in the same sense. And
I agree.
There's something about it where I'm just like, it's that type of thing. Well, I like how they're doing something different with Fox and things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Runaways TV show is one of the few kind of shows that actually has the Marvel tag on it, so it's Marvel's Runaways, kind of like it's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Whereas, and same thing with the Netflix stuff, it's it's Marvel's Daredevil.
Yeah.
Whereas The Gifted, because I guess it's owned by Fox, it doesn't have that tag on it, but yeah, no, it's good to see that they are kind of expanding out of, something a little bit more, I don't know, basic and vanilla like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, that's the thing. I think the shared extended universe thing kind of hampers quite a lot. It not only that, but it hampers, I guess, creativity and what you can and cannot do. And I guess what you have to share and that's the thing. I feel like there are certain missteps. For example, you didn't need an Iron Fist TV show, and not everything needs to be in this interconnected universe. I don't know if Runaways is connected. There is no real hints that says it's connected to any of these the movies itself. But I just so long as you deliver a good story. That's why I've been touting Fox's horn for a while now. With something like Deadpool and Logan, it's one of those things where it's how on earth did Deadpool and Logan are some of the best, amazing, I guess, comic book adaptations for a very long time. And they're not in this big shared universe that, there has to be subtle hints to certain things,
Well, I guess, at least with the Marvel universe, they're not really too concerned when it comes to canon outside of, them explicitly saying with the main movies. I definitely know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be at least in the same universe to some extent, but as a result I believe a lot of restrictions based on management between the movie division, Kevin Feige's movie division and the TV series, they don't allow for much crossover. They tried to at one stage, but I think it all kind of fell apart. And it's the same thing with the Netflix series as well. It's kind of ironic, that when it came to the movies, Marvel seems to build up a very coherent, very interconnected world, but the TV series kind of falls flat when it comes to trying to build things together. Outside of maybe Daredevil and stuff, but Daredevil, Jessica Jones, those are kind of the pinnacle of those Marvel TV series. But you compare it to DC's work, starting with Arrow, all that stuff, as CW and teen oriented as it may be, at least it is a very coherent universe.
I think it's something got to do with cause they have their own different cities and they're dealing with their own problems. Well, I feel you know, all these shows, like the Marvel ones, they're all set in New York. And I think, like, that's the whole thing where it's like, it's all set in New York, but I feel like there's some weird disconnect to it. I don't know. It feels strange or something like that.
I think it makes sense. It's like one of those things where, you know, in Iron Man 3, people, you know, were saying, oh, why isn't Tony asking for, like, the Avengers help, like, you know, to, you know, help with them preventing, like, I don't know, the bad guy from, like, killing
He had his own personal struggles he had to deal with.
Yeah, alcoholism or whatever. But, like, yeah, it's things like that, like, where it's like, yeah, you're right, like, in the sense that, you know, when you do have them off in separate cities, like, you know, there's, you know, despite the Flash being really fast, you can kind of be like, you know, he's dealing with his own stuff, you know, like, that's why he's not helping, you know, Arrow, like, figure out, like, you know, the monster or the big bad of the, you know, week, you know. But yeah, like, it's kind of ironic that DC kind of has their coherent TV universe that has built up slowly over, the past 6 years. But then when it comes to their movie division, they're kind of, you know, speeding up, you know, sped up a little bit too much.
They're flashing up.
Yeah.
I tried. The speed forcing it up. I don't know. There's got to be something smart about it.